In 2025, OpenAI generated a staggering $13 billion in revenue. By almost any historical standard of technology adoption, that is an absolute triumph.
But buried deep within audited financial filings, verified by the Financial Times, sits another number: $34 billion in costs and expenses, culminating in an eye-watering net loss of $38.5 billion in a single year.
Read that again. For every dollar OpenAI brought in through subscriptions and enterprise tokens, it burned nearly 3. To keep ChatGPT running and train its next-generation models, OpenAI paid its chief backer, Microsoft, over $17 billion for cloud infrastructure and research compute alone. This isn't just an OpenAI problem. It is an industry-wide economic crisis. From Silicon Valley boardrooms to Wall Street trading desks, a terrifying realization is dawning. The unit economics of generative artificial intelligence are fundamentally broken, and the bill is coming due.
To understand the scale of this financial black hole, we have to look at what venture capital firm Sequoia Capital calls AI's $600 billion question. The math is disarmingly simple. Every dollar spent on NVIDIA's specialized AI chips requires another dollar spent on real-world infrastructure: data centers, cooling systems, backup generators, and electricity grid hookups. With NVIDIA pushing past $150 billion in run-rate data center sales, the tech industry is spending roughly $300 billion a year on data center construction. To yield a standard corporate return on that capital, the AI ecosystem must generate $600 billion in annual revenue. How much is it actually making? Around $100 billion. That leaves a $500 billion revenue gap. Not a rounding error, a $500 billion void where profits ought to be. In traditional software, scaling is glorious. Once you write the code, serving 10 million users costs almost the same as serving 10,000. Google Search processes billions of queries a day because looking up pre-indexed web pages takes fractions of a millisecond and near zero electricity. But large language models don't search, they generate. Every single query triggers billions of complex mathematical operations. A single ChatGPT query consumes roughly 10 times the energy of a Google search. To make matters worse, the underlying law that drove AI's explosive growth, the scaling law, is running out of steam. Training frontier models required consuming nearly the entire public internet, around 300 trillion tokens of text. We have hit the human data wall. Today, multiplying training compute by 10 times yields a paltry 1 to 2% gain on standard reasoning benchmarks. To get smarter models, labs are turning to reasoning tokens, forcing AI to think longer before answering. But that inflates inference costs even higher, turning cheap customer queries into computational money pits. Even if tech giants had infinite money, they run into a wall that software developers have never faced before: physics. An AI data center can be planned and built in 2 years, but getting local utility companies to connect a 500 megawatt facility to the electrical grid now takes anywhere from 4 to 10 years. Data centers already consume about 1.5% of global electricity, a figure on track to double by 2030. The expansion of accelerated AI servers accounts for over half of all new power demand growth. In a desperate attempt to bypass overloaded power grids, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are signing massive deals to buy power directly from nuclear plants and back next-gen small modular reactors. The constraint on AI is no longer code or capital, it is raw electrons. Is there any way out of this trap? A striking strategic divergence provides a clue. While OpenAI spent tens of billions chasing a consumer super app with ChatGPT, Anthropic quietly executed an enterprise pivot. By focusing on B2B developer workflows with tools like Claude Code,
Anthropic's annualized run rate revenue skyrocketed from $1 billion to $30 billion in just 15 months, quietly eclipsing OpenAI's top line.
Crucially, Anthropic is doing this while spending roughly 4 times less on model pre-training per dollar of revenue than OpenAI. While OpenAI projects spending $121 billion on compute in 2028 alone, Anthropic's training spend peaks at around $30 billion, enabling it to target profitability by 2028. Consumer users are fickle, often churning after asking a few free questions. Enterprise software clients, by contrast, embed AI directly into automated engineering pipelines, paying premium subscription rates for high-density utility. Over 1,000 enterprise clients now spend over $1 million a year with Anthropic. The lesson is stark. Consumer scale does not equal revenue scale.
This financial compression feels alarmingly like the late 1990s dot-com crash or the 19th century railroad manias. Millions of miles of fiber optic cables were laid across oceans, bankrupting the telecom companies that built them. But those cables remained underground and eventually powered the modern internet economy.
AI isn't going to vanish. The underlying technology is genuinely transformative. But the delusion that you can burn tens of billions of dollars a year on brute force scaling without unit profitability is coming to an end. When the capital bubble bursts, it won't kill AI. It will simply wipe out the speculative middle, leaving behind cheap, overbuilt infrastructure for the lean enterprise builders who actually know how to make the math work.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. See you next time.